Hello there guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Nathan, and for those of you who don't know me, I drive cars badly, and we are at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and we are getting straight into it. This is start of qualifying, and for those of you who don't know or don't understand how qualifying works in iRacing, it's 2 laps. You have 8 minutes to complete 2 laps of a circuit, and luckily enough for us, by the time we got into qualifying, because somebody has a slow PC, just like my slow brain. But nah, all jokes aside, you get 8 minutes to do 2 flying laps. And this circuit, believe it or not, in the Ferrari 499P is only about a 107 on average. Obviously the faster guys can do it in 106, but we're not the faster guys, we just ain't. But yeah, looking good so far. Put the setup on and then go straight into it. Obviously didn't take any fuel out of the car because you don't need to do that, not really. You should, you're supposed to, but I didn't. And yeah, everything is looking good. So first lap is almost on the board, and yeah, I'm happy. Tyres are a little bit cold, obviously I'd like a bit more grip, but I think we crossed the line with a 107.5, 107.8, but we got another run at it, providing I don't do what I usually do and bottle it. I like to bottle qualifying hard. I don't know why, but I do. Always seem to make mistakes when I absolutely need to absolutely slap it. But this circuit is a difficult one. It really, really is. It's a lot of ups, downs. It kind of reminds me of Qatar and Portimao. If they had a child, this would be it. The main issue with this circuit is there's not a lot of physical landmarks. There is not a lot of places where you can identify for braking points, and that's one of the hardest things I found on iRacing, especially with no line. Obviously the line, when you drive with line on, it's not representative anyway, but we'll get into that as we're about to cross the line for our second lap. And it is a P2. I think it's a 107.3. Yeah, it was a 107.3 in the end. So the pace car just pulled off, and we're about to get underway. As you can see, we stayed in P2, and it's green, green, green. We are away. And this circuit, this IMSA race, contains all types of cars. It has got the GTPs, it's got the LMP2s, and it's got the GT3s, and as the race progresses you'll see just how difficult this type of circuit is. It's even though, right, this circuit looks extremely wide, extremely easily to overtake, there just isn't, because there's a lot of fast to medium speed corners. There is no specific corner that you can get alongside and overtake. Even this corner itself, it is so tricky. Under braking, downhill, and then you have to turn into a double 90-degree right-hander. It's just unbelievably difficult. But I'm wrapped up behind P2. We pulled quite a large gap as well already to the cars behind. So I think it's just going to be a race between myself and P1. However, I don't know where or when I'm going to be able to overtake. Hopefully he makes a mistake. Hopefully when we catch up to the slower moving cars, but right now I'm just focused on getting the tyres warmed up, getting into this race, and then just keep going, and hopefully hope and praying that this race doesn't become one of those races where I kind of regret, where I make a stupid mistake, because it's so easy. Like I said, with the high speed and medium speed corners, it's so easy to miss your braking point. And not only that, it's if you run wide in a corner, because the corners are long sweeping corners, it quite easily can drop a tyre into the grass. In practice beforehand, because obviously before a race you get a 30-minute practice lobby, and I racked up quite the considerable amount of X's. X's are penalty points that you get for going off track, hitting another car, or just doing genuinely stupid stuff, which I kind of do all the time. It is what it is. It's part of racing. It's how you learn, right? But yeah, with the lack of landmarks, it's kind of you have to pick your point every time, and if you miss it, it's game over. These cars are so easy to lock up. As you can see, we've progressed on a few laps, and we've caught up to the slow-moving cars. And just like Monza last week, it was one of those races where it came across the slow-moving cars at all the wrong times. It wasn't as bad as Monza, but it's still not great. As you can see, if you look at the left-hand side, I'm right on the back of P1, but there is no way I can go past, as I tried to go for the move, but then get blocked off by the Porsche. So then I have to tuck back in behind P1 and try and go over it. But before we even got anywhere near the Porsche, I had 3 seconds on the car behind, and then he's caught up with the hesitation, especially into this corner. There was no way I could get past this Ferrari, and it just seems to be the tale of how the IMSA series works, especially at certain circuits. When you come across them, you have to take your time, because dive bombing a slow-moving GT3 car not only potentially can wreck you, but it can wreck them as well, and nobody wants to crash out of your own race or crash anybody else out. Oh, well, certainly I don't either. That's not how I race. I want to try and race as clean and as well as possible. But unfortunately, with the lack of hesitancy and P1 being able to get through the traffic a lot quicker than I can, he's pulled a gap on me to 1.1. The guy behind is down at 1.8, and it's just how the race went. You have to be mindful as well. You know, you've got the GT3 cars, and they are trying to run their own race. But not only that, they are trying to make your overtake as clean as possible, and sometimes that just doesn't happen. As you can see, there's a lot of slow-moving GT3 cars going through this double right-hander, which then brings the gap down on P1 to 0.4, and then you've got P3 behind. This is traffic. Really bad traffic as we are just darting in and out of GT3 cars. And in all fairness, you know, they move out the way. It's just then you've got to navigate them. But whilst navigating them, it's mad, because when you go past a GT3 car, it just seems to open the way up for the car behind, and then they can get past. And yeah, it's just mad how you can get past as I look to try and go alongside P1, but he gets past, and then I'm stuck behind the Ferrari. I was going to go down the inside of the Ferrari, but then thought better of it. But he's past the slow-moving Ferrari as the Ferrari moves over and blocks me off, which allows P3 to get right on the back of my tail. But the saving grace I've got for this circuit is that it's not very wide, and there is, because of the corners and the type of corners that they are, is a very, very difficult overtaking. So qualifying, what I quickly learned, was absolutely key for this race. There is 39 laps predicted of this race, which is quite huge considering, but when you think on average we are doing mid to high 107s, you know, it's not bad. We do go into the 106s a couple of times, but that's obviously when traffic is not about. But we are staying with P1, and that is awesome, especially for the remainder of the race. As you can see, P1 into turn 1, gets past the slow-moving car. He's on the racing line. There's not a lot I can do. And then P1 then, again, I think the BMW is the class leader. And once we navigate this guy, we can get past. But yeah, P1 is past. I've now got to worry about P3. Not worried about any other GTP car other than P1 in front and obviously P3 behind. Because if P3 can get within my within like 3/10, he's gonna send it on me, and that is going to be absolutely not good for our race. As you can see though, we progressed on. Our best lap is a 106.8, and we're just vibing at this point. P3 has managed to pull a little bit of a gap, and then we again catch up with the GTP cars, which is mad because by this point we've already done 2 rounds of going past the GT3 cars, but we've not come across the LMP2 cars. Again, because this circuit is such a small circuit and such small lap times, the GTP cars are only actually about 2 to 3 seconds slower than the LMP. The LMP2 cars are only 2 to 3 seconds slower than the GTP cars because it's such a short lap and it's a lot of high to medium speed corners. But we will come across them later on. It's inevitable. The more laps you do, the faster you are. But again, it's just a matter of navigating all the traffic and trying to stay with P1. And yeah, we're just eking down the laps. I think it's lap 13, lap 14 at this point. And we're just going around and around looking for places or opportunities. But fair play to the guy who's currently in P1. He is not making any mistakes at all. Managed to drop P3 a little bit, but he comes back, obviously with us being stuck right behind the slow-moving cars. And that's just the way this went. But honestly, this circuit, I had a nightmare, as I said, in practice, and part of me was going to back out of this race because I did not want my safety rating or my iRating affected by by this circuit, because I was just not confident at all. I just really wasn't, and then decided to stick with it, and I'm absolutely glad I did. I really am glad I did, because of how the race went, how the race ended. Just awesome. And trust me, you need to stick around till the end to find out what happens, because yeah, what a race, especially for such a long race, because of how many laps it is. At this point, I think it's like 30 or 29 minutes left, and we are just absolutely vibing. At this point, we have done 15 minutes of racing up to now, and everything is going absolutely swimmingly. Just P1 is able to cut through the traffic a lot better than I am, and yes, probably should have taken a lot more risks, but when you come along medium to fast speed corners like this, it happens. And P1 does open up a little bit of a gap. Obviously, you've been racing for 15 minutes going around high to medium speed corners. Tire deg happens, and this is probably the worst circuit that I've ever raced a GTP car on for high tire deg. I think by the time I got to the pits, my tyres were like 85%, and that's not known. I'm not known in this, but as we're going through, the pit stops happening. P1 started to box, and then P3 followed P1 in. And at this point, I was obviously low fuel warning, but I still had 4 laps of fuel left. But I thought I was going to do the opposite of whatever the guys did around me, and I am so glad I did. So glad I did. I thought, right, P1 is boxed, P3 is boxed, let's try and get this lap as fast as I physically can, and then I was going to box at the end of this lap, which absolutely turned out to be a masterclass. It really did. Whatever happened, I was boxing in the next few laps, but because I saw P1 box early, I thought, you know what, this is the time to do it. And I was kind of hoping that I'd come out into clean traffic. Wasn't too sure what happened to P1 at the time. I think he came out and dropped down to P4, but I was definitely boxing. As you can see, there's a lot of slow moving cars, even catching up to the LMP2s at this point, as you can see one right there. But I thought, nah, let's get in the pits, let's get it done, and hopefully hope we can try and get out before P1 came along. And we absolutely did. We came out in P2 as we was estimated to come out in P4. If we'd come out in P4, we would have been behind the original guys who boxed a lap early. But I've managed to come out into P2, and I'm absolutely buzzing. I knew how hard it was to overtake. We've nearly been racing for 30 minutes at this point, and I knew how hard it was to overtake. There was just no way that they were going to get past. All I needed to do was make sure that my overtakes were clean, and yeah, just do everything I physically can to keep the cars behind. And we are up past the LMP2s at this point. I'm currently net P1, not P1 at the moment, because there is a GTP that still hasn't boxed yet. But we are absolutely buzzing at this point. Now it's just a matter of just race strategy. Like I said, making sure everything's clean, making sure that we can get past everybody, and yeah, just motor on. Like the guy who boxed a lap before me is now 1.5 seconds behind, and I just need to manage it. Just need to manage it all the way through. I do get a little bit frustrated later on, as I said. When you're pushing flat out, you have to be mindful of tyre deg, and then obviously slow-moving traffic. But what a circuit, man. What a circuit. You can see we are on lap 27 now at 39. There is about 14, just shy of 14 minutes left. And this is where, this deep in the race, you start to come across slow-moving traffic. And I seem to come across this orange Mercedes quite a bit, trying to defend against a car that is so much faster. It's a bit ludicrous, if you ask me. And he had the neck to flash me as I went past. He had the brass neck to be annoyed with me. It was crazy. But we moved on. There's 10 minutes, full 10 minutes of racing left. And this is their class leader. I've got P2 right behind me, 1.6 behind me. But at this point, I'm thinking, can we hold on? Can we do it? Hoping we can do it. But you never know. There's a lot of racing left to go. Simply because if an overtake's more cleanly, if an LMP2 or a GT3 car wipes out as you're going past them, they can quite easily take you out. And did notice, as I'd gone back to practice, and you know, some of the spins I had, you only needed the faintest of touches on the walls and you bust a tyre out, or your front part of the car would pop off, or you'd lose your wing. It's quite easy to do. And this LMP2, like I said, they're only about 2 to 3 seconds faster, slower than the GTP cars around this circuit. And no matter how much I tried, it seemed to have spent an eternity behind this LMP2. And yes, slowing me down a little bit as you do get dirty air. But I needed to clear him a lot quicker than what I actually did. And that allowed the guy in P2 to claw back up. I think the gap was like 1.6 to 1.8 seconds behind. But with messing about with the LMP2, that gap's down to 1.1 now. And I'm obviously, with 9 minutes left, with the tyre deg that we've got, lap times are obviously a lot slower. As you can see by looking at the mini-map, we've got another round of GT3 cars to go through. And yeah, it's just becoming a little bit more trickier. And you know, whilst I was racing, fully focused on racing, you do have those little thoughts creeping, wondering if today's not going to be your day after such a good race. And again, like I said, going side by side with GT3 cars and whatnot, I was anxious about every overtake that I made from here on in, because I was looking at the laps dropping down, I was looking at the time dropping down, I was looking at the guy behind, and yeah, at this point it was so, let's focus on the race, but so many other factors creep in. You know, am I quick enough? Can I do it? Can I keep going? And obviously then I know for a fact there is a fast corner coming up, but yet I've got 2 slow cars either side of me. And to be fair, they moved out the way, and then you hear the crew chief going off, and then I was looking in my rear view mirror when I could, and I was thinking to myself, these guys are moving over, yet P2 has obviously got a clear route. When they move over for me, because P2 is so close, he's then got a clear route, and it seemed like I had to make the moves stick, and P2 was getting a clear run, and I was like, oh, at this point, I just don't know, man. I just don't know. Especially if something happens, like I get boxed in behind a Porsche like I did early on in the race. Maybe P2 would have better luck of getting past, but I decided to put all that to the back of my mind and just continue to race like I was racing, and if anything happened like that, well, it happened. But at this point I started to really enjoy the race. With 7 laps left, you know, 7 minutes of racing, and I was loving it. You know, I was P1. I was just going. There was a little bit of clean air, as you can see. I think it's P6 GT3 car is just going through turn 1 now, and I was just trying to just keep going. I noticed throughout the race that I was a lot quicker than P2 coming out of the double right-hander corner. So I knew as long as I could keep hitting my braking points there, keep getting the exits right, I knew that I could be able to keep him behind it, because the only real opportunity of overtaking would be down that back straight. But again, if I got mixed up with a slow moving car or was indecisive of an overtake, then he had an opportunity there as I clattered the curb, and that really annoyed me. Seeing how close P2 was, obviously when these cars get within a second of each other, they get it's not DRS, they get slipstream, and slipstream around any circuit in a GTP car is really good. It allows them to overtake quite easily. It's a bit like a poor man's DRS slipstream is, and yeah, I was struggling at this point. Tyres were completely gone, slow moving cars were just getting in the way, and I was in my rear view. I was probably watching the guy behind more than what was going on in front. As you can see me hacking at the steering wheel, which this McLaren this McLaren decided to move one way, then move another. It's like moving under braking. I know, looking at it now, the guy was trying his hardest to get out of my way. I understand that, but during the race, it sure didn't feel like it. I just felt like everything was against me. But that's what it's like when you're racing. You have one mindset when you're racing, but then when you take stock and look back at the race, you realise that you yourself was being extremely harsh when there was no need, because you're leading, and when you're leading, you were trying to keep that lead. And I haven't won a race in iRacing for such a long time. I really haven't. You can check my stats. You guys know my name by now. Have a look on the app. You can see just on how many races I've not won. I've been close quite a number of times. I've had some good races. I've had some really bad races as well. This Ferrari, again, trying to get out of the way, move in under braking. So that's 2 laps now. Same corner, just wrong place, wrong time. But yeah, I was just happy at this point. Really happy. And then I looked, as I come out of this corner, I looked to the top left and I saw that I had 0 X's. So at this point I'm leading. I've got 0 X's. We have got about 3 to 4 laps left. Can I do the perfect race? Can I really? Have I got it? Can I do it? And you know what? I was seeing that I was still quicker than P2 out of that double right-hander, and I was just trying to go for it. Unfortunately, here comes the fuel light. Fuel gets a little bit sketchy towards the end. There's the orange Mercedes, as he's moving over this time, and he did, but obviously the left-hand corner banks around to the left, so I'm thinking, right, I'm going to go down, and then he moves over.
Left side, clear left.
I was lucky that it wasn't a third lap on the trot that we had, or we're being blocked. But if you look at the dashboard where you can see the low fuel, in the left-hand corner, you can see the actual lap time, or expected lap time that we're going to achieve. However, in the right-hand side, that is showing how much fuel we have left. As you can see, it's going down 2.25, 2.24. That is fuel levels. We should be okay, but we are expected to do just over 39 laps, and it does come a little bit sketchy towards the end. As you can see, if you look bottom right, you can see it's got 0 gals, 0.0 gal. So that means how much fuel to add. And right now, it's saying that we are going to run out of fuel.
Slower car ahead.
It's not looking good. However, I need to keep going. P2 is only 0.3 behind us. This is the leader of the GT3 cars, and to be fair, this guy, hats off, every time I've come across him, he's done his best, his very best to get out of the way. So we have a snap on corner exit, which kind of put me off a little bit. But I know for a fact we've got a little bit of clean air before we get to the next round of cars, and I know I'm quicker on exit of this corner, which serves us well because it keeps P2 behind. And like as you can see right now, the gap is 0.3, and I know with this being next corner being a fast medium speed corner, there's not a lot of overtaking. I didn't see many overtakes, if any, this race, simply because of how tight the circuit is. It's so slim, and again, I've said it before, but because of the medium to fast speed corners, you don't have much of an opportunity unless you absolutely send one, and you have to be crazy to do that. You really do, because it's just not good around here at all. There's just no opportunity, and it's just madness, just absolute madness. Coming across the Porsche, going down into the dip, into this 90-degree right, hitting the brakes. The good thing is P2 got stuck behind this Porsche, which again allowed me to gain the gap. But again, looking at the fuel, I've got 1.21 laps of fuel left, and that is it. And it's getting sketchy at this point. I'm really nervous. The gap is now down to 1.6. So at this point, started clapping my hands silently in my head, thinking to myself, one more lap, can we do it? I've still got 0x, still in the lead, and I was a little bit nervous about fuel. As we crossed the line, it went to 1 lap's worth of fuel. But luckily for us, or unluckily for us, this McLaren goes really wide, and yeah, it really threw me off. And I was like, oh, no, maybe this is the part where I throw it all away, but I didn't. And I was happy. I'm really happy. You know what's coming. I'm looking in the mirror, seeing P2 1.3 behind as we go into this 90-degree right. I braked a little bit harder, came off the throttle a little bit to make sure I had enough fuel, as fuel is 0.7 at this point, 0.6, and we know that we've got one straight and a couple of corners left to go before we cross the line. But for my first win in a very long time, here it is, around a circuit like Canada Tire Motor Park. What a race, what a circuit. Do all that good stuff. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and guys, as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Peace.